Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking, reopen, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.
In Ottawa, because we know it's an important matter, because we know there's 5,500 tenants right now that are being targeted for rent evictions by landlords in this city. And this is after they've already targeted people in Manor Village, in Heron Gate, in Sandy Hill, at 142 Nepean Street for rent evictions. They're still doing it.
Shame! Shame!
That's why we have to find allies in City Hall that are going to fight for the renters of this city.
Sure. Alright, we're going to do one more chant right now. Ready? We are the tenants, mighty, mighty tenants. We are the tenants, mighty, mighty tenants. We are the tenants, mighty, mighty tenants. Mighty, mighty tenants. Mighty, mighty tenants. We are the tenants.
Mighty, mighty tenants.
Give me an A!
A!
Give me a C!
C!
Give me an O!
O!
Give me an R!
R!
Give me an N!
N!
What does it spell?
Acorn!
What does it spell?
Acorn!
Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
Alright, so in response to all this and what the Ford government's done, Acorn opted to revisit our municipal housing priorities in order to determine the housing issue that Acorn members most wanted to see City Hall address. And so, over 2 months, Acorn members have organized 5 tenant meetings in different areas of the city, collected over 140 survey responses, spoke to hundreds of tenants on the doors, over the phone, and while postering in the city. All of this led up to the Tenant Rights Council last Saturday, June 17th, where over 100 renters across Ottawa came out to vote on Acorn's #1 top housing justice priority out of the 3 top housing campaigns. Those 3 campaigns which you voted on were landlord licensing, the anti-rent eviction bylaw, and $40 million in the budget for affordable housing.
Yeah!
And so, after this, we're going to go to JP, who's going to give the results of this vote. But first, we're going to do one more chant. The people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated.
The people, united, will never be defeated. The people, united, will never be defeated. Woo!
So the votes are in, and drum roll please. Acorn's #1 municipal housing priority is going to be an anti-rent eviction bylaw. Ottawa Acorn demands that City Hall establishing a license system to take away the financial incentive for landlords to force tenants out through rent eviction. From now on, landlords should have to prove that it is necessary for them to have tenants out of their homes to do the renovations. This should be a permit process. Once Once all permits are obtained and it is proven the tenants must vacate in order for the renovations to take place, the landlord must do either of the following steps to ensure the tenants are not permanently displaced. Enter into a new lease with the tenant that is identical or more favorable to the tenant, with provision of a comparable rental unit in the same building, or agree the tenants can move back under the terms of the existing lease and find temporary accommodation for the tenant during the renovation period.
Yeah! Fair!
So we're going to do a chant now. Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Yesterday! Woo!
All right, now we have some guest speakers, I believe. Our first guest speaker is Nick Grover from Free Transit.
Woo!
Just don't do that, then it's a siren. It's all set to go.
Testing. All right, hello everyone. How are you today? I'm with Free Transit Ottawa. We're a group that's committed to achieving free, reliable, and accessible transit in the city. And just like affordable housing, transit is a public good. And just like housing, it's criminally underfunded. I believe personally that public goods shouldn't just be something that everyone can use, they should be something everyone wants to use. They're of such good quality, such high caliber, that people are taking the bus, they're living in public housing as default. There's a saying that a good city doesn't mean the poor people have cars, it means the rich people take the bus. And that's what I want to see of a public good. But that's not the situation we have, because the people at City Hall, they don't understand that a public good is something that lifts you up, that enables you to be who you are, to do the best you can. They think that housing and transit, frankly, are last resort options, that they're transitional things, that everyone basically will only take the bus until they can elevate to the point of being able to buy a car, or they will only rent until they can save up enough to buy a house. Why do we do it that way? Because it doesn't really benefit most people. To own a car costs you 10 grand a year. It pollutes the air, it causes noise, it causes traffic accidents. To expect people to own a home is to expect them to put all of their money, all of their savings and a lot of debt into an asset that might not be worth a lot in a couple decades. So why don't we provide public housing and public transit for everybody so that it can be used and leave us a lot better off?
Yeah!
And I think the reason we all know this, that they don't do it, is because who does poor public transit benefit? Well, it benefits car dealerships, it benefits ride-hailing companies, and who does a lack of affordable housing benefit? It benefits landlords. And it's pretty clear who City Hall is catering to with that. And so I really respect what Acorn is doing. They have a big vision, but they're also proposing very, very concrete, very achievable demands like the rent-eviction bylaw. Because we get a rent-eviction bylaw, and it makes not only a protection for tenants, but it creates a less attractive investment. And really that's what we want from housing. I don't want it to be an attractive investment. I want it to be a home. And so you have that. You have things like vacancy control, which we also need, and people stop investing in housing as an asset, and maybe the government can get its shit together and buy it and make it into public housing. Because that's what we really want. You look at Vienna, and 60% of people in Vienna are renters. They rent public housing because it's of such high quality that people of all incomes live there. And basically that's the vision I would like to see of Ottawa.
Yeah!
And,
Equity!
and if we organize enough, if we organize effectively enough, and we create a political counterweight to what's at City Hall, we can get stuff done. We can work together. We can work for free transit and lower rent. We can work for anti-rent evictions bylaw, and we can fight for public housing around public transit stations, so it's extremely accessible. And currently, Free Transit Ottawa is working on a campaign of our own. We are asking the city to immediately provide free transit passes to people who are on ODSP and OW because they can afford it. They can afford road widening. They can certainly afford free transit. And so if you want to hear more about that, I'm just over here, but I'll give it to the next speaker. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick Grover. Our next guest speaker is Harmon Pope from Ottawa Horizon.
Woo!
No, it's this iron.
All right, perfect. All right, hello. My name is Harmon Pope. I'm the club leader for Horizon Ottawa's campus club at Algonquin College, so hello. So, fun fact, this is not part of the speech that Sam from Horizon gave me, but did you know that student housing is actually not covered under the Residential Tenancies Act? Can I just get a shame for that? That's awful. I found that out like a couple months ago, and I just wanted to talk about that. So I'll pull up the speech that Sam gave me. My apologies. So, thank you to Acorn for inviting us to join today in the launch of their tenants' rights campaign to advocate for, among other things, landlord licensing, stricter regulations for rent evictions, and raising the affordable housing budget for our city from $16 million to $40 million. It is because of organizations like Acorn that we are beginning to see stronger policies around actions that threaten the life and well-being to low to moderate income tenants across the city. Friends, Ottawa is in a housing crisis. For every unit of affordable housing that is built, 7 are lost and over 150 people sleep in the street every night.
Shame!
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 Yet our city council only approved $16 million on building new affordable homes, while they continue to give over $400 million every year towards a bloated police budget, almost $60 million to widen and expand roads, $26 million for fair enforcement, and more. As our organization has said time and time again, a budget is less about resources and more about priorities. It says a lot about what a city values. And it would seem our city leadership does not value building or maintaining more affordable homes as much as they should. We deserve better. Our city spends $40 million on shelters, which is still not enough. But we think that we must spend more, or at least the same amount, on permanent affordable housing so that we can actually work towards tackling the housing crisis.
Yeah! Common sense!
That is why yesterday morning at City Hall, we launched our campaign to push the city to double its affordable housing budget. But not only that, but also to ensure that we spend this money on actually building real affordable housing, not just subsidizing the profits of developers who are not in the business of affordability, but in the business of racking up as much profit as they can. In the past couple of years, our city has not been bold enough. In 2020, we declared a housing emergency, but little has been done, and it is having very real consequences.
Shame! Shame!
Our goal is to reach people across this city, from Cumberland to Orleans, to Centertown to Carp, and to get 10,000 signatures by the next budget cycle to show our council that this proposal has broad, massive support, and that residents are ready to have their dollars spent on preventative solutions like affordable housing. It's a bold goal, but we know that with our people power and with the strength of our members and our movement, that we can do it. So thank you. We always appreciate the relationship we have with an organization like Acorn. We'll see you on the doors.
Yeah!
And just as a small little thing, Horizon's doing a summer canvassing thing. Actually, they're canvassing my building right now. So if you want to canvass around affordable housing, that's something Horizon has been doing. I thought I would add that. I'll hand the mic off.
Thank you very much for Harmon Pope from Ottawa Horizon. Our next guest speaker is Alan Neef, our next guest speaker is Alan Neef.
Hi, my name is Alan Neef. I work for Councillor Plante, the City Councillor for the Ward 12 here.
Can you be a little louder, please?
Sorry, my name is Alan Neef. I work for Councillor Plante, the Ward Councillor for Ward 12 here in Ottawa. Councillor, unfortunately, is at a couple of events right now. She's hoping to get here later and maybe can speak a few words to you. Like you guys, when we came into office in November, we're kind of frustrated by the lack of urgency needed for for affordable housing and for supportive housing. The councillor's biggest priorities is that I can unequivocally say that she says that housing is a human right. She believes everybody deserves a home.
Yeah.
And statistically, we have seen, as the gentleman said, that in terms of our distribution, we spend more on shelters than we do on permanent housing, even though statistically and effectively it costs less to build more housing for people than it does for shelters and for all the supports that are needed.
Yeah.
Councillor would like as much as possible for us to build as much supportive housing so that ideally the people who are living the most rough around us could spend as least time in a temporary shelter as possible so they can get triaged for the type of care and acuity they need so that they can be then sent on to a permanent home with the supports they need to thrive and reintegrate back into society. So this is something that is very dear to our heart. In our office, this is one of my main files. I'm very proud to be here to support this rally. There are a few things that are coming up to council soon. I do agree that there's not nearly enough that is going into affordable housing, but with all our difference, whether that is our not-for-profit providers, whether that's Options by Town, the John Howard Society, who are doing very good things, Ottawa Community Housing deserves more for their stock to be able to have people can have real affordable housing. And she also wants to push the Ford government to go beyond the 5% minimum. What they're not even calling it affordable, they're calling it attainable, whatever that means. But 80% of market rate is not attainable for a lot of people here. So we are in a lot of consistency. Obviously, we won't always agree. But there is uniformity around council right now that we do need to invest in supportive housing. It's a systemic issue across the city, and it's not just something that should happen just individually. So thank you very much.
Just want to say thank you again to all the guest speakers, and we really appreciate you guys coming out and helping us push for better protections for tenants. We're going to do a chant again. So who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Yeah!
So the time has come to give some testimonial. We now going to have a few members give some personal testimonial and why they become member of Acorn. We need real tenant protection and why there is power in unity. So I'm myself going to give my testimony. As I introduce myself, my name is Pascal. Here is my testimony. I became a member of Acorn because I believe in unity and in diversity. I know what when people are united and speaking with one voice, we are capable of enforcing the injustice that are poisoning our society to change. As an immigrant, a year after the Canadian government helped newcomers, my family of 7 people found themselves living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I had to fight to have a subsidized house. After 4 years of struggling in this small house of refuge, I asked my city council in my riding of Ottawa Valley, who referred me to Acorn, who joined me to fight for a subsidized house. That's why I became a member of Acorn. So, there is another chant we are going to sing. Give me A!
A!
Give me an R!
R!
Give me a C!
C!
Give me a
O!
Give me a O!
O!
What that spell?
Acorn!
So I'm going to hand the microphone to Ivan, who is going also to testify. Ivan? May I say a couple of words quickly? Everyone, come and testify.
Hi, hello everybody, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? Good? Not so good? That's good. Alright, I'm so happy to see all of you. Thank you for coming out. I just wanted to say I'm always so proud to see the fight that Acorn brings forward for ordinary people, demonstrating that even though that we know that we have serious problems. We know we're in a housing crisis, but we know that even if we're not rich, even if we're not developers, even if we don't have developer money, we can fight back and we can win.
Yeah!
Because we have each other. I want to just quickly speak about why I think the anti-rent eviction bylaw is very important. We've already spoken. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah!
Okay, good. Okay, so many of the speakers have brought up already the elimination of affordable housing. Developers are destroying 20,000 units per year and replacing them with luxury condos. We know this is a problem, and we know that renovictions are part of the vicious cycle that will end up hiking rent for everybody. But we also want to think about renovictions. You have to think about how much destabilization that causes in the lives of a renting person or a renting family, right? So an anti-rent eviction bylaw gives people the right to stay. And when you think it isn't, and so because there's a couple of issues here. One is when you're rent-evicted, wherever you find the next place is probably going to be between 20 and 30% more expensive than your last place. And that's when rent is already unaffordable, right? And when you also think, and then you also think of it often forces people not only out of their units, but out of their community and their network. So you think of the effect it has on kids who have to change schools. You think of the effect of it has on people with long-term health issues who are now maybe no longer close to their clinics and elsewhere that they need to go. And because of our crappy transit, thank you, Nick, they have even more of a hard time to get there.
And can't afford
So
the same level
I
of
say,
food.
housing's a human right. The city has a responsibility to uphold that human right for everybody, including the 40% of us who rent in this city. And they have the right, and we have the right to stay. Our right to stay is more important than the right of a developer to an 8th yacht. That's it.
And they need to retain some of the units as affordable.
What?
They need to retain
Mike
some
around?
of the units at the complex that they're renovating to still be affordable.
That's right.
We call AG to come and testify.
I joined Acorn because I have been involved in the fight for working people, for tenants, for more than a decade now. And when I met someone named Jill O'Reilly, a veteran of Ottawa Acorn, and I saw what she could accomplish with organizing, with door knocking, with all of the tools that we use at Acorn, I realized this is what I needed to do. This is what I needed to get involved with. And I'll give you just a little idea of what I'm here to fight for. Vacancy control. Vacancy control, the fact that we don't have it, the fact that developers or landlords can raise rents pretty much however much they want between tenants, is of course a big one part of the reason why we have a problem with rent evictions. They want to get people out so they can crank up the rates. Now, I'm pretty lucky in that I personally haven't faced rent eviction, but I do find myself in another situation that demonstrates the absurdity of not having vacancy control. I graduated in 2020. Not exactly a great time to start your career. And in 2021, I got a chance, a job in St. John's, Newfoundland. So I went to pursue that. I moved away for a little bit. Ultimately, things didn't work out. I ended up coming back to Ottawa, and I ultimately ended up moving back into the same building that I had been living in before. Basically, the same apartment, one floor down. The only difference really is that the sink is smaller. It's kind of annoying, but that's about it. Otherwise, same apartment. But because between those times I had moved out, they are now extracting from me for the same apartment with a less convenient sink, $200 more per month. That is the kind of absurd situation where, because I took a chance, I went out there to try this job in Newfoundland, didn't work out, and because I moved out, because I didn't hold on to my apartment for dear life, I am now paying on a yearly basis, quick math, $2,400 more to my landlord for the same basic apartment. That is the kind of thing that we need to fight against, and that is the reason that I am a part of Acorn. Thank you all for listening. Right. Who are we? Acorn! Who are we? Acorn! What do we want?
Affordable housing!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
Good stuff, folks.
Okay. I was wondering if Alan Neef is still here. So what we have here is we have Ottawa Acorn's tenant survey for this year, and we have our proposals for an anti-rent-eviction bylaw. And we were wondering, Mr. Neef, if you could present this to Councillor Plant.
I'd be happy to.
And if she would put it forward to City Council so that we can get an anti-rent-eviction bylaw in this city.
Is that on the web? Is that on the web?
So who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want? An anti-rent-eviction bylaw. When do we want it?
Now!
Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Anti-rent-eviction bylaw!
When do we want it?
Now!
It'll be on the Acorn. If anybody's interested, I believe it's going to be on the Acorn website.
When?
Hopefully soon, if not now.
Okay.
Alright, so what we're going to do now is take about 15 minutes or so to make sure that everyone has a bunch of our flyers located right there and petitions. Grab some for yourself, grab some for people you know you can take home, and don't be shy, hand them out to people in the park, and make sure that we're spreading the word around properly. They're all right over here. I'm sure one of our members can help hand them out to people right there. And finish this up in like 15 minutes after this.
That's before you go. Who wrote up the bylaw? Who wrote the bylaw?
What they did is they had
You want to do that right later? The landlords, by keeping rents so high, are disempowering tenants from being able to for one, from being able to participate in the economy. When you're choked to having to pick between rent and food or rent and something else, then your opportunities are limited. But you're also limited in the political arena. And so, and of course, once that you have that imbalance in place, the people on top of that imbalance are not going to relinquish it lightly. So that's why it takes Acorn and as many allies and supporters of Acorn as possible to meet the power of money with the power of our numbers.
Let's shoot back to the start of the rally. There was a poll put out on what should we address the government on. I'm going to give it to you now.
What we should address?
Yeah, I want to know what were the choices were. I remember.
Oh, right. So we had the So Acorn members, Acorn members in Ottawa, conducted like a lot of surveys and discussions about their housing priorities, and we narrowed it down from that through these discussions to vote among 3 options. One of which was the anti-rent eviction bylaw. The other 2, one would have been was a landlord licensing system, which would establish a subject the city to inspection. Subject landlords to a registry that would also make their records public knowledge available to prospective tenants. Could potentially strip landlords of their licenses if they fail to uphold certain conditions. That's also very popular among our members. And the other campaign, which was an option, was 40 million for affordable housing. And that is a campaign that Horizon Ottawa is currently also engaged in fighting for, to match what's currently invested in shelters. So those are the 3 options. Those were debated and discussed at the Acorn Tenant Right Council meeting this Saturday, where members from across the city came out to discuss, to vote on which campaign they wanted to launch the housing priorities with, and they chose the anti-rent evictions bylaw. Doesn't mean that Acorn isn't also pursuing those other 2 policies. This is number 1, and the others are still in the works.
How did the rally go today?
I think it was terrific. We had a good turnout. We had an absolutely blessed solstice, so we're lucky with that. We had a decent turnout. I think we made the most of it. We heard from some really passionate speakers and very impressive speakers, and I'm moved, frankly, when I see these speakers from all sorts of backgrounds share their perspective and their conviction and their determination to correct the imbalances and fight for housing as a human right.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much, Marty. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
People coming up to the petition. And we're going to finish up with some chants, I believe.
Okay, are you ready? The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
All right. Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
Who are we?
Acorn!
What do we want?
Affordable housing!
When do we want it?
Now!
All right. Give me an A.
A!
Give me a C.
C!
Give me an O.
O!
Give me an R.
R!
Give me an N.
N!
What's that spell?
Acorn!
Acorn. All right.
Fight! 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 Housing is the right! Fight! Fight! Fight!
Housing is the right.
Fight! Fight! Fight!
Housing is the right.
Fight! 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 Housing is the right! Fight! 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 Housing is the right!
We're fighting for housing. We won't go away. Stop the war on the poor.
Make the landlords
pay. We're fighting for housing. We won't go away. Stop the war on the poor. Make the rich pay. We're fighting for housing.
Go away. Stop the war on the poor. Make the rich pay.
We're fighting for housing. We won't go away. Stop the war on the poor. Make the rich pay.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united
Will never be defeated. People united will never be defeated.
All right. Awesome. All right. Do we want to hand it off to JP to finish it up?
Let's start it.
So, this is the end of a meeting. But before we end the meeting, this is some announcements and upcoming events. The first event is the States of Repair Focus Group, will be on Thursday, June 27 at 6 p.m. over Zoom, where Acorn members will be developing a new citywide tenant survey and planning an upcoming series of tenant rights workshop. You can find the link to the Zoom on the flyers at the back of the room. The second event, please take lots of flyers and petition with you to give out to your neighbors to put more pressure on City Council to address the housing crisis. Thank you for coming to the Rental Right Rally. Thank you so much.
Which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear. You won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble. K-N-I-F-E right in your side. You will never see me coming. You won't die if you try. You just might get a little bit of trouble. K-N-I-F-E right in your side. You will never see me. My energy is next level, so damn you better be careful. I got an angel and devil, he stabs me straight in the temple. I'm ready to be a rebel, I've got a lot of potential hidden inside of this vessel. That shit is so exponential. I need a first class ticket to the top, no limit. I don't play no gimmicks, I'ma take you to the clinic. If you want a taste, come at me and you will be replaced. They won't find a trace of you anywhere or any place. Oh!